Hi. Hello, world. Hello, dear artists from around the world. How are you all today?
Good. How are you? Are you talking to
Good.
us? Yeah.
Yeah, talking to you.
You're talking to me.
Talking to you. Yeah, this is how we do it. We're the Palimpsest project. We're here Palimpsest live. This is our project where we're sending artwork to each other around the world, and we each receive them, and then we do things to them, and then we send them on to the next person. We have themes, we have thoughts, we have opinions. Today we're going to explore some great opinions. My name's Ross. I'm calling in from LA in the United States. And let's go in the other direction today. We have on the other side of the world, it's already tomorrow for Cheryl Wilcox. Hi, Cheryl.
Morning.
Morning. And
Yeah.
let's see if I'm correct. Then that means we go to Laura in the UK. Laura Spedetto. How are you, Laura?
I'm fine. Good evening here.
We're all over. We're all over. And then a little further east, we've got Denise in near Montreal. Hi, Denise.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And then in the in I guess Central Time near Toronto or in Toronto, Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi. Eastern time, actually, and same time zone as Denise. So
Oh, I thought you were
yeah.
further. Oh, okay. That
No, it's
Americans
in my head, but physically I'm.
And joining me on the West Coast, but in an entirely different country, Rose Williams is in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Hi, Rose.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Wow. So, um,
And where are you, Ross?
I'm in Los Angeles, in the United States. Yeah, it's raining here, like a lot. It's been raining for days. It's a pretty unusual circumstance. People don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know how to drive. What people say about it's true.
Wow.
Yeah, but we all have to get somewhere, right? And that's why we're meeting today. We're trying to get somewhere, and we're talking today about the motivation that we have to get there. This, to me, is such a big subject. I don't know if we're going to have time to cover it all today, but it's really an interesting subject, and I think that we all have some really deep thoughts about it. Our works are so different, and how we handle our work is so different. I think last week we were talking about planning, like how we would plan for the new year, and especially as artists, that brings up a whole other realm of considerations. It's not just like, planning a project. We have, we're kind of the pipeline, right, for dreams and okay, dreams.
But I like the pipeline. That's good.
And so as we receive all that information, we have to make choices. And I think that's really where both planning and motivation might be challenging for us. I know it is for me, but I want to hear from you guys. Who thinks they've got the biggest or the smallest thought about motivation, or the biggest question, or which one of you wants to take this on first? Anybody feel like Laura? Laura's written 2 books, by the way. I think she's covered the subject. Yes, Laura.
Thank you. While you were exposing the question, I was thinking about when I don't have motivation. Sometimes happen also, I think, as an artist, and it's something that hurt when you don't have motivation. And it's more difficult to find inspiration when you are down, when you are in some sort of a low. It happened to be high, to be low. So when we are low, it's difficult. And in this moment, I try to give a peace to myself and to just to enjoy silly things, or to walk, or to find the sparkle inside, but or to pass the time, because I know that are high and low. So sometimes it's more difficult, and I discovered that this low part are very important for my path to grow as an artist. They are probably the most important part, because when I'm happy, I'm creating, but I had the baggage that that it was created before. So the melancholia, sometimes the fear or the low moment are important for our growth. I think for my growth as an artist. So
Wow.
the most difficult part, but it's where probably inspiration has put the seed to flourish, to blossom later.
Oh boy, that was so cool. So not the least of which what you said, Laura, and I think we all know this from your work, is how important that dynamic of light and shadow is, and it's a deeper philosophy than purely an aesthetic one, apparently.
Yeah. I try to remember always when I'm low that it's something that will pass. It's not a permanent state. It's not easy when you're in this state, but it's important to remember that it's something that it's normal in life, and we are in some way can make us stronger. It seems
Yeah, I know, I agree. I'm with you. Yeah.
It's interesting because I always I've recently been pondering, well, as we all know, we've all been thinking about why we do what we do, and that's a thing that we are all contemplating continuously. And before I started thinking about it, I always thought that my work was sort of frivolous because I work with a lot of photographs from my vacations or places that I visit, like places that it's in my mind it was sort of like fun, and I was sharing like the fun times and the beautiful things. But I've since discovered by doing some soul searching that actually create from that it all comes initially from a place of I guess saying pain is maybe a little bit too big, but I've always had a difficult time saying goodbye to people, to things, to moments, and I live in this place where that is still the case. I've become better at it as an adult as I was as a kid, but it's still an issue. And me living a life as an expat and having to say goodbye to a completely new life that I built up on a regular basis or a semi-regular basis, it's sort of counterintuitive. And I've figured out that the thing that I do and my inspiration really comes from me, that continuous need that I have to hold on to the places that I can no longer go to because I don't live there anymore, or they're not. And whenever I'm somewhere, even if I go on vacation, I have this really almost uncontrollable urge to capture every inch of that place, because I know that inevitably I have to kind of say goodbye to it. And for however short a time I'm there, I'm always like, oh, I might never see this again. So that's sort of where the core of my inspiration comes from.
Wow, Denise, what a poignant perspective. That's so tender and meaningful.
That really touches me, Denise, because in a sense, that's almost what I'm doing, but I'm kind of like hearkening back to when the environment, I had a different tangible experience with the environment around me, because I'm old enough. I'm going to get choked up, I'm really old enough to see the change. I mean, there's hardly any songbirds left compared to when I was young. I mean, they really aren't anymore. They're gone, and they're never going to come back. And when I walk through the environment, I almost feel like you do, like this sense of loss and nostalgia that motivates me to capture literally the leaves. I mean, there's a war against non-industry deciduous trees in this province. Like they're literally wiping out the aspens and the poplars and the things that they don't think are worth money. They spray them and everything that lives in there and on there is just disappearing. And it's like I'm almost doing the same thing you're doing, in the sense of just trying to capture and hold on tangibly to these things that I feel a sense of loss around.
Well, that was an education right there, Rose. I had
Yeah.
no idea that the British Columbian provincial government was doing that kind of activity.
They pay people to shoot wolves here. Like it's just
Yeah.
it just goes deeper and deeper. It's like when Cheryl talked about how they churned up the lagoons in Australia. I mean, my heart was just like shrinking in my, just thinking of all the creatures and everything that's
I know.
displaced every time that's done. And here I am in the realm of human beings who like try to, you know, like I'm a naturalist, and my dad taught natural sciences. So I've always been like a naturalist, and I'm interested in like the latest tadpole that was found that we thought was extinct, and like little salamanders and algae and stuff that we're like trying to save. You know, like little things and little victories, right? That kind of keep us environmentalists going. Like there's a group of young people in the South Pacific that got alarmed and decided to do something, and they're gardening coral. They're growing coral, and they're re-establishing it on the reef that their elders have seen disappear.
Right.
So, you know, like to me, that's a huge part of my inspiration. I still have to be plugged in and getting the newsletters, you know, and that kind of like I follow Paul Nicklin, the photographer, and Sea Legacy, the organization trying to raise awareness about conserving the sea and getting marine protected areas. And that's inspiring to me, that kind of work that people are still doing in the face of all this, you know, vanishing.
Oh, I think it's so interesting too, Rose, you brought up the idea of inspiration as being concurrent with motivation, how they can be really aligned, but they also don't necessarily need to be the same things at all. And I think that we had a discussion at another time, and what I heard you say then was about purpose, and I'm kind of hearing that in a different way now from you, that there's a purposefulness or intentionality about how you're looking at what you're doing. That I'm so interested that, you know, everything that you've all said so far has to do with a pain of some kind.
Yeah.
So Stephanie or Cheryl, like, how does that work?
Stephanie, you go. Where are you? What's your thoughts?
Nice.
I'm trying to think. I mean,
there, Cheryl. Good.
Yeah, well done. I think my inspiration, you know what? Such a great question. I don't really know. I'll just be honest. I don't really know. I feel like I just need to do it, right? I need to create. I have these ideas. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I've always been like that. And I've just done it. I don't really know. I mean, I think it's, and I know we all have that, right? But I mean, yes, I've had a lot of pain in my life too when I was a child, you know, just a difficult upbringing kind of thing. But I don't know. I don't I try not to dwell on that, because, you know, things are much better now. But maybe that's where it comes from. I don't know. I wish I knew. If you know, tell me.
Well, what I'm hearing you say, Stephanie, if I may, is
yes.
It's like breathing, right? Like the motivation is to stay alive.
Motivation is to stay alive. But I mean, I had a full-time job right before I became an emerging artist. I was, you know, still creating art here and there, but not as much as obviously I'm doing now. So, and I was creating in my full-time job, but I was still like not always creating. So maybe you know, maybe when I got let go, it was just I was just like, yay, I can just create now. So yeah, and I think I felt very good about that. You know, I there were people who didn't agree with me taking this path, and they are now out of my life because too bad for them. Sorry, but really, if they can't, if they have a problem with it, well, it's not my problem, it's theirs. So, but that, you know, but I don't really know what inspires me. I think, I don't know, just different subjects, different like people and animals and things inspire me.
But
Yeah,
I think the
I'll,
fact that
I'll,
you,
I'll think
because
about it some more.
it sounds almost like you're sort of making an excuse because you feel like your reason for creating is not valid enough, or something. But you've only just started, and it took me, well,
Yeah.
how long have I been doing this? I mean, I became a full-time artist in 2010,
Right.
and I feel like I've only just, like, end of last year, early this year, figured this part out. So
Okay.
Yeah.
there's no shame in just, for the long, like I said, for the longest time I thought I just painted because I wanted to make fun pictures,
Right.
and I didn't have a story for the longest time. Well, you met me when I thought I didn't have a story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just
It's
takes
not
time.
just that,
Really,
Stephanie. You've made it very clear that in your interests that what you're painting is life energy,
Mhm.
and that's
Yes.
what you were attracted to is
Yes,
life
I
energy,
am. Yes, that's true. Yes.
and that's
I
very
think,
valid, and that's why
Mm.
it touches because the viewer recognizes that.
Mhm.
yeah, I think that you have inspiration, but you have to find where this inspiration come from, because you feel this necessity to create, and you have to you need to breathe, but you will find, as Denise and Rose said, you will find what inspire you the most. There is already, it's already there, but you don't know. You
I
have
think
to,
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of soul searching, and I mean, yeah, yeah, you're right. I have to give it more time maybe.
Cheryl, you're up.
There is.
Cheryl, and then Roz.
I like the freedom of art, and I suppose, and I love that freedom when you're outside and the big sky and the water and the beach and the sand, and so I suppose I love that freedom, and I like the freedom, and I love art history also. So I love looking at people who are making art. I like artists. I just like the whole thing. I
Mhm.
do. I love going to little art galleries, big art galleries. I'd love to live by an art gallery and go
And so
every day.
when you paint, for example, a lily pond or another subject matter, what is it about the subject that calls you to paint it? Because could that be called inspiration, maybe?
I love water, so I love the way that water is, how it reflects and how it's deep. So I've always loved the patterns in water.
Mm.
So I love water, and so and I and my whole thing is it's almost like love where you live. So it's a little bit of Rose. It's that concept of looking after yourself where you are, your own beach, your own space, and hopefully that'll extend to your street, which will extend to your block, your town, your community, your country. Like looking after, like loving where you're living, so and making it a better place. Really, by building your communities, and so that's a little bit where I sort of fit, and also bringing other people along with you. So now I've got some students, and I'm planning art exhibitions for them and pushing them, to the edge, but trying to inspire them, like bringing up the whole group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. So would you say that?
We
Oh,
lost you
you've
there
dropped
for a
out.
second.
You're muted.
21st century technology.
Yeah. The joy.
I wish
Now
I
you're
knew what
muted.
Stephanie was asking you, Cheryl.
Now
That
you're
would
muted.
sure was a great question.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
said,
here she is. Yay.
would you say then that you are inspired by where you live?
Yeah, I suppose so. I just love the great outdoors.
Hmm.
Are you kidding? I'm inspired by where she lives when she posts all those photos.
We are
Oh
all
my
inspired by where
God.
she lives.
Please. The
That was
sun,
a-
the sand, the sunsets, the sunrises. My
That-
The
goodness.
beach.
I know that
Beautiful.
sunrise was pretty spectacular the other morning, and I actually didn't even touch those shots. They weren't even, and I just held the camera and I went, oh my God, this is pretty good. I went down there this morning, nowhere near as good.
But I share
It
that
was-
with you, Cheryl, because just the other day I was driving home, and I live in a narrow valley that is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
mountains. And honestly, I was just driving home, and I had to pull over where in the summer they have the corn hob thing where I had to pull over, and I had my telephoto, and I just had to like the snow-covered mountains were like just going. And
Yeah.
it's like, as you say, you gotta love where you live, when where you live is so incredible.
Mm,
I
mm,
mean, I
mm,
live in beautiful BC. It's stunning. And if I wasn't open to that, I'd be blind, I guess.
mm.
Right.
So Ross, how about you? Your
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah,
Dr.
my
Berman.
my motivation is well, I think it does come from this sort of liminal dream space, because I find that I don't think I've really ever talked about any of this, so this is a little bit challenging. I think it's been a little challenging for all of us. Like Stephanie, you were like, I don't know if I know this answer. It's kind of like that for me too. But this pipeline to dreams, or the liminal space between things, and I think I need to go back just for a second. So none of us have said money or material possessions or anything like that. Like, if we were stockbrokers or bankers or maybe fame, maybe. But I don't even know if that would be the motivation. That would be just kind of like a shiny byproduct, right? But so none of us have mentioned anything about, the materiality of any of it. And I think that's kind of fascinating. Now, as a man, a Western man, that tends to be the thing that's supposed to motivate you to, do whatever, to prove this thing and that thing. And it's like, it's not been too interesting to me to find my motivation there. My motivation has been about, like, what cause am I doing this for? So when I was working in the organics food industry, it was about, the world, it was about the health of the world and the health of people and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that there's a bunch of that motivates me too. So I think that it's, I read this really great quote the other day, that artists will, it's the hidden things that we're trying to say. I'm not really quoting it very well, but so it's sort of like that. But what I mean about the liminal spaces, it's the hidden parts, it's like the shadow, but it's not necessarily like killing me with pain, and it's not necessarily completely darkened. Like it's not completely opposite of the light part, but it's what the message is in this in between space, because it's a choice. That's the point of choice that I have, and I see that in other people's lives as well. That's where the choices come in. I don't know if any of that made any sense at all, but
It did. I think that's fascinating. The in between places, like the places that are sort of unknown, that are that lie between light and dark, between highlights and shadows, like
Or
the midtones.
conscious and
midtones.
unconscious.
Yeah.
Lie between unconscious and conscious, not
Yes.
necessarily light or dark, but just
Yeah.
the hitherto unexplored, right? Like
Yeah.
exploring what we have not yet explored.
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps. I love that shit.
But then on the other side,
Well, I think, Stephanie, you kind of do the same. You're coming from a lot of the same place in that your conceptual framework, you bring up a conceptual framework for something and you explore it in this way that you know, it's not a well, it's conceptual, right? So I think as a
Yeah.
concept,
Yeah.
it's sort of coming in that location.
Well,
Yeah,
even the
I
signs of
like-
the zodiac are conceptual. They're not a
Right.
tangible subject. You
Right.
have to
true.
make them tangible in how you're interpreting it.
Right. But I think there's something very metaphysical, Ross, in what you're saying, in terms of like your inspiration sounds like it comes from a very metaphysical place.
You know, I hadn't really used that word to describe any of my work or thinking, but yes, entirely. That is entirely where I come from. Yeah.
Like
It's like-
spiritual, metaphysical, I should say.
Well, you know, before I got into whatever kind of Jewish artwork I make now, it was all about metaphysics and cosmology, and you know, and I arrived at a Jewish piece through that. And even now, it's like this is a conceptual framework for me to explore the metaphysics of something or other. You know, like I use a symbol I just insert it everywhere. You know, or like I see it everywhere, and make a commentary about, you know, something more metaphysical, using
Right.
that as my concept framework.
Yes, it's very cool.
Cool.
What about
That is cool.
the actual creation of art? The
Oh,
actual
excuse me.
process
Sorry.
you do?
So
You're good.
the other one's still going, Denise.
Yeah, I know. No, I was saying to Ross that it's we've talked about this for about
Oh.
20 minutes, so we have another subject to.
We do.
Yes.
Wait, let me check my notes. Denise, what's the other subject?
Somebody has a painting to
Rose paint.
unveil. Rose has a painting to open.
I have a
Unveil.
Rose has a
painting to
painting.
open.
Yes.
Rose has a painting.
Yes.
Rose
I
works on
have
the
a painting to open.
Oh boy.
Yes.
So
Wow, that was
let,
But I
shall we
think
do
we
that?
can we can
know,
talk
went by
about
fast.
inspiration a little bit more in the future.
Yeah.
In our next
yeah.
episode. Yeah.
Great subject to come
Well,
back to.
I mean, I'm about to be inspired by this painting that I'm going to then add to. So here we go. Let's explore
Awesome.
true inspiration.
I like
In
it.
action.
Inspiration in action,
All
people.
right. Yeah. Okay, hang on. Let's pull that back a bit. Turn this a little bit more this way.
Nice.
All right,
Ooh.
people. We're
What a
live.
nice box that is.
Our beautiful Titan Strong Box Master Pack. That, you know, this piece looks like it doesn't even have smooshed edges or anything, you guys. Like,
It
Wow.
looks
That's
really
great.
good.
seriously.
I think this
Like,
is probably the
it-
best money we've spent aside from,
Yeah.
you know, in shipping that we've
Sorry,
ever
I'm
spent.
chasing my earbuds. Okay. Wow. All right. So entering into our 18 by 24 stage
Who did this
I
arrive
get-
from?
Me.
from Miss beautiful Lara Spadetto in
Oh.
the UK.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
how do I get this
Oh.
up? So well. It's so well.
Steph.
There we go. Oh, I see. Hang on. You guys are seeing the little taste.
We can't
Nice, Lara. I
see
like
you,
the
Rose.
colours.
Come on, Rose. Where
Stephanie?
are you?
Oh my gosh, look at this.
Yeah. I did it.
Is it this way,
Oh yeah,
Lara?
I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it go
Yeah,
this-
but
does it go this
Wow.
you can
Oh, that's nice.
on
Oh,
every
how beautiful
side.
is this?
Have you
Is this
painted
gonna
the
be
edges,
another one where we
Lara?
don't know what's up and down?
She did.
Oh, yeah, show us
She
the
did.
edges. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Usually
I love the
like
I love the colors. I love your palette, and I love how the black in the red or the darker red sort of goes up, and then the white mirrors that
Mm.
against the blue. That is very cool.
Yeah. And I
Oh
love
my
the
god,
texture.
I already see so many things in there. Wow.
So many.
Cool.
yeah.
I love the color field work that you've done here, Lara. That's beautiful.
It's a different kind of
It-
brushwork than we've seen from you before.
No,
Laura.
I don't use brush here. I use just spatulas
nice.
and with acrylic, and I start to put some paint, and I put until I find that it's okay. It's a
Yeah, I
light
love that look.
layers
Nice.
of discovery.
That's
So
great.
layers of that.
I love this little area, this textured
Overlap.
area. Okay,
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Me too.
Yeah, I love that too. Really nice.
Okay,
Lara.
so I have my inspiration in my hands.
Awesome. So do you have first thoughts of what you might do with it?
Yeah, I'm already seeing things in it. I'm gonna let it speak to me. I love it when these pieces arrive because honestly, I just get to talk to a new painting and have a discourse, a visual kind of reflection. And that's one of the things that I'm really enjoying about this project is the creative reflection, the creative interaction that we're able to have with these tangible objects that are sort of like holding our little thoughts and dreams, you know, like it's pretty cool. So I'll let it talk to me first.
Yeah.
You're busy, aren't you, Rose?
I would speak English and not only Italian.
I know, maybe I'll have to listen to Italian music while I'm painting.
Yeah.
Ooh. Very cool.
I grew up in where Denise is, actually, just like a couple miles over from where Denise is living in Quebec. And in those days on Sunday TV, it was all Italian TV. It was all Italian programming, the local programming. So I grew up watching Italian television. I love Italian music.
It's a beautiful language. It's a beautiful. I find it just like it's very melodious.
Yes, I love the language. Yes.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
I would like to say that I love how Rose react to the new to think to a new project. It's like you are lightning and excited.
I am excited. I can't wait. I'm like, I got these two. Oh my gosh.
Very cool.
Mind you, there is that kind of daunting, like, oh my gosh, you know, do I touch it? But at the same time, I feel like it's bringing out more in me, in a sense. Like, I think I'm going to do something on this one that I haven't done for a while that I used to do all the time.
Ooh,
right.
Exciting.
That's the fun part about this project, right? We can try whatever the heck we want.
I know.
You know,
that's so
whatever comes
freeing.
into our mind, right? It's fun.
It's what
It's
the
great.
painting is demanding, I'm feeling. Like, I used to be
yeah.
like Cheryl, and I worked in oils almost exclusively. I was oil painting, and I was doing, like Stephanie, I was doing full portraits, and I mean, I was having, you know, that hour mixing all my different colors on my palette, and I haven't done that for a while, mostly because of like just life demands, and then you have that palette full of paint, and you know, I didn't know about sticking it in the freezer.
That's a great tip.
I have 2 in there and a whole thing of brushes. I got like 2 shelves of all my brushes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to do it in oil, obviously, but I may crack out some acrylics and go back to, you know, I don't know.
Cool.
Something I used to really enjoy.
Yeah.
So there you go. This is bringing out some really fun aspects of the tangible qualities of the sensory aspect of painting for me.
That's really like the layers of discovery. That's what we're exploring in this particular Palimpsest series. Yeah. Wow. Oh, can't wait to see what you're going to do with all of this. Yeah. Well, I think we're coming to the end of our program today. Yay. Oh, what a great talk we've had. I learned so much from all of you. I mean, I always do, but I just love what we're talking about lately. And you folks out there in the world, come join us again next time. We'll talk about some more great topics, and ask us questions if you have any. And we'd love to hear from you. We're talking about things that are deeply, deeply meaningful to us, and we want to bring you something that's useful, at least, and meaningful, and if not beautiful. So thanks again, everybody. Good seeing you. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.